Hello, everyone. Anything to anybody?
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning.
How's it going today?
Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not feeling so motivated this morning.
I hear you, bro. We had a pretty good week trading, though. That's the good news. I just can't believe it. After hours, it shot up to like 122, and I was like, yeah. And then boom, boom. I was like, what the? But I made some good money this week on Apple, Meta, and Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
What's Airbnb doing?
It popped for me. I rolled it over the last 2 weeks, and finally it popped for me, and I took the money and ran. I didn't make a killing. I made like
Dan's playing with fire. I made 39 cents.
no.
I had a great day.
No. Look at yesterday.
I do that 3 days in a row. I can buy a coffee.
Well, okay. So to your point, what I'm doing is I've got the numbers now. I've got 4 or 5 months of data. I'm increasing my average size cost basis over time, and I'm noticing it's increasing my profits. To your point, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the implied volatility and I'm looking at the deltas every single time now. So, what's his face? Lee Lowell, that video you sent me a month ago, which is a great video, said ideally, if you're buying calls, you want to go with a delta of around 90.90.
Well, if you had actually read the book I sent, the whole book,
yeah.
he says that in his book.
Right. So anyway, but if you're going to go with a 0.90 delta, you're going to be spending on average $1,500 for the call. The 2,000.
Well, it depends what you're buying.
I'm saying on average, I've looked at it enough where you're going to be between $1,000 and $2,000. So I'm taking the mid number.
Well, on expensive stocks, you are.
Well, on the stocks that I've been trading, it's $1,200, $1,500. So
next week's going to be the big week. We'll get a lot of information next week.
I'm slowly edging my feet into the water. So now I'm averaging $500 to $600 in cost basis. So I really need to get it up to 1,000 plus, because to your point, that's where you're going to make 300, 400, $500, and sometimes more trade. And then that way I can cut down.
Well, it'd be very interesting. I mean, what percentage of trades out there, actually double or triple or quadruple?
Well,
pros aren't waiting that long. Pros take it off the table and they get like 20 or 30%.
That's what I do. Yeah. That's what I do. Yeah.
Then you have your answer, Dan. If you have a $500 cost basis and you go 30%, that's not $200.
No, that's right. That's 150. I get it. Yeah. I get it. But there's a lot of times too where it's going 50, 75%. The Airbnb one was 150% for me, or whatever it was. Something like that. So that was kind of lucky, though. I mean, I have to admit, I didn't expect it to pop like that. That's why I took the money and ran. Hey, Aaron.
Hello, fellas. How are you?
How you doing, man?
It's really good. It's so good to see your faces, hear your voices.
Well, that's not Dan's real face.
I just play this on TV.
That's awesome. I want to know if you can hear me okay. I'm using a microphone, an external mic.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Where are you, Aaron? Where are you located?
I'm in Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and loving it. I've been here for about a year and a half, and before that, I was over in Oregon, in the Central Oregon coast.
The Great Northwest.
Yeah, Pacific
That's
Northwest.
A beautiful state.
It's a beautiful state. I love the whole West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington. It's so beautiful. But the politics over there are out of hand.
I didn't want to put it in your mouth, my friend, but they're batshit crazy.
They are. They're really batshit.
I've talked to enough Oregonians and people in Washington, because I'm in sales, to know that, just to get the feel and the vibe,
Yeah.
I mean, the people seem like decent people, but the politics is just
Hello. And it's funny to me how politics can infiltrate and bleed into the lives of normal people and then warp their perception of reality. And I saw that during COVID, big time.
Oh yeah.
And if I could just tell you a quick story, I was in the trades. I was in construction doing remodels and, home builds, framing, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
And I loved it. It was great. And I was surrounded by these big alpha males who had families and are tough, and they had their guns. And, we got lots of wilderness, so they all hunt and shoot and fish. And they said, if they ever try to come and take my guns, like every single one of them said, if they ever try to come and take my guns, I'll go down shooting. And I felt this comfort of like, I'm surrounded by like-minded men who are heads of these communities, and they're going to stand up for freedom. And then COVID rolled around, and they every single one of them rolled over and started wearing the mask constantly. Putting pressure on their children to wear the mask and go to school for 8-7 hours a day and wear that all day. And I was like, what happened to you tough guys? What happened to you guys?
Wow.
What happened?
That's scary.
You were ready to go down shooting and dying if they come and take your guns. But now the tyranny has come in a different form, and you go, oh, you just roll over and take it. And I was so disappointed. And I started to see which men were really made of. Like, what are they really made of? Because a real man will stand up for principles and what's right and the freedom of others, especially the older and the younger. No, if it was convenient, then they would go for it. Like, I just go ahead and get the jab because it lets me get in and out. It lets me travel. I like my vacation to Hawaii once in a while. And I'm like, what are you doing? You just sacrificed your health for a little bit of movement. I go, that's insanity. That's insane.
What year was this, Aaron? What year was this?
Well, this was right when COVID started in 2020.
Oh wow!
Right. I mean, this is
so. So you knew when the jab came out. You knew right away that there was
there's plenty of information for anyone who had just taken 30 minutes out of their day from football and the distractions that are
all
out
the grand distractions.
To just do a little bit of research and figure out what is this really all about. Yeah. And you had major, like, just beautiful, brilliant minds like Dr. Tenpenny was coming out and talking about how horrible this is. Even like guys like Greg Hunter, it's like what, like they were just spilling the beans about how horrible this was. And I was like, and I would go places and talk to people, and I'm like, where do you get your information from? Like, how come you are so unaware of how evil this is?
Aaron, sorry to interrupt, man. I think you're spot on. It's just, I don't want to be cynical. Dave drops the hammer more than I do. I try to use, at least put on a velvet glove before I punch you in the teeth. But he just throws the friggin' hammer, which I love about him. But the public at large is, God forgive me, is so stupid at large.
Yeah.
Okay. And it drives me cuckoo. Okay. I don't purport to be a friggin' genius or Einstein, but we do purport to have some freaking common sense. You know what I mean? Which is what you're alluding to. And our leaders do what they do, in my humble opinion, because they can. They pull the wool over our eyes constantly because they can, because we allow it. And we are, unfortunately, because we've elected them as a whole, you know what I mean? We are a mirror of them in a lot of ways, right? As a whole, right?
Well, let me just inject something.
We elect these clowns, and then we eat this bullshit left, right, and center.
Yeah, and I'm suspect about the electoral process in general.
All day long.
Have we been electing these guys? I don't know.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
this big election, this last one with Trump, it told us, man, that these are all rigged in every county and every city and every state. I go, and then you're using those same machines overseas and rigging elections over there.
Yeah.
So you go, oh, this is, well, I just probably banned this video by saying that, but I'm sorry. But
Well,
but
good luck trying to tell the general populace this. I've got people in my family in New England. I mean, you want to talk about the great Northwest that is blue. The Northeast, my friend, is just as blue. Okay. And they're just as brainwashed. Okay. And the bulk of them are just, and if we're not careful, I say this to Dave all the time, there's a possibility, you could call it albeit remote, but this is what I see the factions lining up on the different sides of the line. In other words, you've got California, okay, in the Northwest, they're blue. They're going to march to the drumbeat of the federal government no matter what. If the federal government says walk off this friggin' cliff, they'll do it. Yeah. The Northeast is the same way. And then you've got parts of the lower Midwest, in my opinion, plus or minus an observation, and the Southeast, the southern states, and some of the Southwest, that's different, right? And you've got Texas rearing their head up now as we speak, you know, and they're saying they're creating their own currency and stuff now. Right? It's supposed to come out. My understanding is September 1st, backed by gold. What does that tell you? Right?
Yeah. Let me interject here so we don't go off on a 5-hour tangent here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I can do very easily.
We're already recording, Aaron. Okay. So
beautiful.
If there's anything you say you don't want, just let me know.
That's fine.
But,
you're liable for everything you say now.
Yeah. But why don't you just introduce who you are and whatever information you want to share with the world.
Yeah. I'm Aaron, aka Kick and Gravel. I lived in the Pacific Northwest for a while, moved recently to Florida, where the weather is a lot warmer and sunnier. My background is really vast, but you know, if you have a lot of things that you're interested
How old are
in, you never. What's that?
How old are you?
I'm 45.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a lot of things that I'm interested in, so I'm never really a master of any of those things. So I have a broad knowledge, but not a pinpoint one. So I find it interesting listening to your guys' channel, and I always am thinking of things that I want to say and interject while you guys are talking. So I just wanted to hop on here and hopefully share my 2 cents.
Sure.
That's awesome.
And what do you do with your time now that you're in Florida?
Well, I own 4 businesses. We're dabbling in the real estate market. Right now it's just completely dead. It's rolled over. I'm in trading. I also have a company for trading. And also I own a coffee company, and we're rolling with that right here. Coffee, and then
what in what capacity you actually roast the beans yourself, or you have somebody do it for you?
No, we use Lavazza beans. So it's a big company, and I just needed bulk, something dependable that I could have shipped over here. So yeah, we're importing Italian beans.
Where do they come from?
Oh, Italy.
Oh, Italy. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to just kind of bring in our own, high-end coffee, and like our own smooth coffee, nice flavor, and create we brought in some ideas from the Pacific Northwest, because everybody drinks coffee over there. It's cold, dark, and rainy constantly. So we kind of brought that down here to Florida, and people are loving it. We've got amazing reviews. It's it's so great. It's awesome. So we're doing that. We got the coffee thing going on. And then I started a little company with my sons, and we're doing landscaping, mowing, like that kind of stuff. So I can rub elbows with my boys and work and sweat and toil and spend the days with them working and making money. And I would prefer to have my sons around me and raise them up on how to work and be a man and shake a man's hand and look them in the eye and how to make deals and how to walk away from a deal than learn from someone at a big box store that they could get, or a restaurant or fast food, right? I don't want someone else raising my kids. My kids are homeschooled. And my wife she's an ex-teacher, does a fabulous job. They're all whip smart. And everywhere we go, we I think a good man is also a dangerous man. I love that it's starting to come into the vernacular of the social norm now. And we all carry knives. We all go shooting. And even my 10-year-old, he has a 6-shooter, and we teach him, proper safety techniques and stuff like that. And it's super fun. I don't want anyone raising my children. I can do that on my own.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, dude. Amen, man.
Yeah. Well, I commend you. You're putting in the time and effort where a lot of parents may want to, but they use whatever excuse.
Oh yeah.
Usually staying on a treadmill, or I've got to provide for.
Oh yeah.
For the reason for not putting the time and energy in.
I'm guilty as well. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's sad because you can look at their children and see the impact it's had on them already. They're already warped. They're already beat down by the system, and they're already the light is not shining as bright as it should in young people.
Spot on, man.
And that breaks my heart right there.
So you met your wife in what state? In Oregon?
In Oregon, yeah.
Okay. And you're both born and raised there?
Well, I was born and raised in Southern California, so I had a little bit of different background. And then I moved up to the state to finish high school. And then that's when we met. And so we used to run together on the track team. And then cool. she got a job at a coffee shop, so she was my barista. So
nice.
We have a long history of pounding coffee together. And
yeah, and two boys, 2 kids.
I got 4 boys. I got an 18-year-old. I have a 10-year-old boy. I have a 2-year-old now, and a 2-year-old girl. We have twins, and I believe it's possible we have twins on the way. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow, don't mess around, man.
Yeah. At 30 years old, I thought, I've got the bull by the horns. I'm single. I got a great company. I'm making lots of money. I get to go on trips. I don't have any ties. And then I re-met my wife.
Yeah, because you said you met her in high school.
Yeah, because I knew her in high school, and we had re-met, and I was like, wow, this is so great. Let's make a family, And it was at that moment that I realized, when I'm with my first child and my wife, that money is not wealth. Money is like real wealth is having children and a family. That's real wealth. Because I've spent time with guys who have millions of dollars, and George Clooney types who seem happy, but they're empty inside. And then I've spent time with men who are broke with lots of children and actually were happy. And I was like, of the two, the guy with the kids has it right. And it's not about just having kids. You need a family. And I think that gets lost in the idea of, I got a lot of kids. Well, there's a lot of girls with
there's a big difference.
Lots of baby daddies, I got 5 kids and 5 baby daddies. And I go, no, that's not a family.
Right.
That's
spot on. Spot on.
You got to keep that unit whole. And again, the children are punished by that. The statistics are out there for that as well, on how bad the options for your child if he doesn't have a dad in the home are in the future, and how
horrendous
easy it is for them to go to prison, like oh boy, or be on welfare, or have a broken home themselves later. It's horrible. So
sorry to say, that's not repairable either.
Yeah, you can't repairable. Fix that. You can't unbreak that.
That's called Ghetto USA.
Yeah, my one of my son is climbing on the desk, the stand-up desk. Hey, Bubba, can you go see Mama?
Oh, that's the two. Is that the 2-year-old? Is that the
one of the twins?
You should have picked him up just for a second.
Next time I will. He'll be back.
2-year-old boys, man, wind them up and let them go. I remember those days. Those are great times, man.
I mentioned earlier, I have my son, my 10-year-old especially. He works with me quite a bit after homeschooling, and he loves driving the riding lawnmowers, and he loves driving the mini skid steers. So the big skid steer with the tractor with the buckets and the grapple and all that. He can load a trailer full of debris or dirt, no problem. And we'll be on a job site, and I'll be running the chainsaw, and he'll use the mini skid steer and grab all the debris and then load it into the trailer. And he can barely see over the controls, right? I mean, and I'll have, and it doesn't matter what job site we're at. Well, I'll have men come out there and say, "Whoa, what is going on here? He is doing such a good job." Like, it makes me feel so good to see a young person actually working and not just playing video games, like stuck playing video games. And I go, man, it's all on you. Like, if there's a dad around, he has to. It's his moral obligation as a father to pull that boy out and work alongside him or play alongside him. It's not all work with me. I love to play. I got a real lazy side. I'm either 110% go or 110% stop. And my kids are kind of the same way, and it works out really well. So yeah, we have a good time. We go play on the beach, but but then when it's time to work, we work hard. So I don't know. I just throwing that out there because I've actually had several people stop and take pictures. Wow. And say things like, "Hey, my nephew is a little older than him, and he can't even tie his own shoes."
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean, what used to be normal in the U.S. is now abnormal, where people are taking photos like it's a gorilla.
Yeah, like they've
like
never
something an oddity. Yeah,
an anomaly, a unicorn. Look,
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Jack. This is my 10-year-old Jack. Hey, come over here, big guy. Can you see?
Nice.
So when you guys made the decision to leave Oregon, did you consider leaving the United States?
Yes. I thought about Chile.
Wow.
And I only thought about it for a brief moment because I saw a little bit of turmoil down there.
Can you speak Spanish?
No, I wish I could.
Oh,
I don't think it would take long for me to learn because the Southern California background that I had growing up, most of my friends and family were all Hispanic, and I did pick up on a lot, so I could understand a lot, but not say it. And I thought, man, it'd be good to. That's why I thought
did you go and explore?
Spanish country would be great.
Yeah, did you go down and put your boots on the ground at all?
No. Okay. I just did a lot of keyboard research and a lot of Google mapping and trying to figure out what would be a good place. And in the end, I was like, I feel comfortable here in the sense that I understand the culture here, and understanding culture is almost as important as understanding the language. The language I could get, but if I overstep a boundary or something, or I rub someone the wrong way culturally, that's almost as bad as swearing in their face. And I thought, just let me just get out of a blue state first, and then hopefully what we can do is. I noticed a lot of other people, like-minded people, leaving their states and moving to red states. And I thought, oh, this is good. This is good because now we're starting to separate, the wheat from the chaff is starting to come apart. And I go, okay, here we go. Maybe if I can just balkanize and get into the same area as a like-minded person. Now, here's the problem that I find here in Florida. Floridians had it easy during the COVID lockdown because DeSantis was great. But in turn, a lot of folks here don't understand what happened in the rest of the country. So I go, you don't understand. I tell people all the time, you have no idea the tyranny that was going on in the lockdown. Okay.
Great point,
So
man.
you people you don't understand how critical it is that we keep this state red. And it's the locals, honestly, that don't want to see another California license plate, that are kind of tired of the new ideas of politics moving in. They kind of enjoyed the old ways pre-COVID. And unfortunately, those people are not happy. And I worry that there's not a lot of separation of wheat from chaff from those folks. So there's still a lot of lefties here, believe it or not. And I
Really?
go, oh man,
Yeah.
like I almost wish there was an island with a clean slate with no one on it, and we could just
That never changes. And Dan and I have talked about this ad nauseum. Those people, they never think it's their policies that ruin the state they left.
Right.
So they bring them.
Right.
Bring
And Dan, you saw that in North Carolina. All the libtards from California and the Northeast came to North Carolina and ruined that state.
Yeah, I was there for 12 years, and slowly over time, when I first got there, it was red, like-minded, whatever you want to call it, conservatism, family-oriented constitution, Second Amendment, blah, blah, blah. But slowly over time, you could see all the libtards coming in from, the great Northeast, where we're from, in Cali. I know you're from Cali, so I want to be respectful. California, listen, I have some friends from California, okay, and they are just good people, okay? Most Californians that I've met in my life, and I'm not just saying this, of just cool people, at least at the personal level, just good people. They're cool. Yeah. They're easy to get along with. You know what I mean? Good sense of humor, whatever. But, and it used to be a great state, right? And amazing. Now it's just fallen off. Yeah, it's fallen off the effing cliff. And you've got these cuckoo pops running the show.
Yeah, California used to seem really red. It
was conservative for a long time.
Yeah, and it was just solid. Even in Orange County, where I grew up, seemed like really hardcore. Now you go there, and it's just left city. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
It's just that they're off the freaking reservation. And to Dave's point, it started to happen in NC. The first few years was good. And then, slowly over time, I could see it shifting. And we've said many times on the channel, it's like, guys, if you're going to bring the same mindset to wherever you're going with the same politics and everything else, let me save you time, effort, and money. Just stay where you're at.
Yeah.
Why do you got to go to another state? You just fled this state, or left it, supposedly, not you, the universal you, right?
Yeah.
You just left the state because you didn't agree with it. You didn't agree with the lack of like-mindedness, etc. So now you're going to go to another state and do the exact same thing that you just left from.
Well, it's like a virus. It might be It might be intentional, because New Hampshire used to be the only red state pretty much in New England, and it's
I think it's gone.
Purple at best, but probably blue at this point.
Yeah, infiltration, man.
Yeah.
And they literally intentionally, especially during elections, especially in New England where everything's closed. So I remember I was in, I used to be naive enough to think elections mattered. And so I would volunteer on campaigns. And I remember I was walking around going door to door, and I noticed it was, I think, I don't remember, it was Obama. Obama was running, and who's terrible human being and a terrible president. But anyways.
Don't tell the lefties that. Keep going.
Well, whatever. Yeah. And so I would see these same people going door to door for the other side, or I assume they're the other side. So I'd stop and say, hey, who are you? What party, what's your beliefs here? And they were all from Massachusetts coming up. And they said to me, Massachusetts, we know it's voting blues. So what we do is we send out people to the red states, or the potential red states, and we volunteer there, because then we can make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what they do, is they bus people. They've been doing this for years. you will see buses from blue states coming down to Florida and coming down to other red states who will be actively working for the regressive party.
Great point.
Well I find it very fascinating that the blue states and the blue-minded people are so aggressive and so attacking. They are proactive. And you would think in your mind that it's red state people that are more proactive about things, but actually I see so much complacency with
It's true.
Christians. Don't get me started on the Christians. I'm a Christian myself, but man, I look at my peers and I go, come on, come on.
Live and let live is their philosophy.
Yeah, they're so passive. I almost want to be Muslim because at least those guys will take action and massive action, even if you slight them. Not all of in general, Muslims in general, but not all of them. Some are very peaceful, but if you slight their religion, there will be a confrontation. And with Christians, they'll just kind of roll over and take it. And I just and during COVID, it was the Christian church who was on lockdown on Sunday, but Saturday our parking lots open for a free vaccination because we're a 501c3. And I go, come on, you just did the bidding of the state. You turned your back on God, because what did Jesus do the whole time he was here? Is he healed people. And then when the not the apostles, but they would come back to Jesus and say, we can't heal him. We can't heal. This guy's too sick. I can't heal this one. And Jesus would say, because you have little faith.
Little faith.
And I go, he was teaching a message the entire time about your health, about your spiritual and your mental and your physical well-being. And the church just dropped the ball when it came to COVID. And I go, oh, come on. It says in God we trust even on our money, and we can't even get this right. I go, come on.
30 pieces of silver. Very, very, very important. Got to have that money.
Yeah. I find myself, because look, as far as Christians goes, I'm probably one of the worst, but at the same time, when I see someone and they're like, I'm a Christian, I will hold their feet to the fire and I will test them, because iron sharpens iron. They go, why are you so confrontational? I'm not confrontational. I'm just pushing you a little bit are you thinking outside the box? Are you doing that you can for those around you? Or are you just saying I'm a Christian? Because I need to know what kind of company I'm surrounded by. And I find myself, as I get older, my friend circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller, because I need men around me that are not only like-minded, but have actual values that they will hold, right? Yeah.
Spot on.
And that circle gets smaller and smaller. It started right in the beginning with, I don't have time for my kid, but I got time for Monday Night Football. And I'd be like, okay, you're out of here.
So real quick, to your point, I'll paraphrase it because I'm not a pastor, but only the few will walk the narrow path, right?
Yeah, the way is small and narrow.
Jesus said that, right? It's not like this. It's, you've got to make an effort, is what he's saying too. And he says in the Bible, right, at least in one section, right, essentially he basically says, there's no lukewarm here, guys. You're either here or you're here. You're either with me or you're not, right? Right? Because he said to the 7 churches, right, I'll spit you out of my mouth, right? You're lukewarm. It's like, you guys got a foot on each side of the fence here, guys. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you can't serve the state as a church.
You can't serve two masters. Another way to put it too, you can't serve two masters, right? I think Matthew said that, right? It doesn't work. Adorable. You've got to make a choice. You got to make a choice, right? You can't serve two masters.
No. Hey, William.
But we try.
Is it lunchtime?
Well, let me ask you guys a question, since you're both in. There we go.
No worries, man.
He wants to be near Dad. we just talked about how the people leave the blue states and go to the red states, and then they want the big government. They want the same thing that they left. Okay, and they don't think what that means. So why would you guys expect, in a way, you guys just moved from the bow of the Titanic to the stern. You just
Right.
bought yourself a few years. Why do you think that? What about our country and the people of our country today show that people even understand what the United States used to mean? Today it's about consumerism. Today it's about,
Yep.
like you said, football and fun and
Distractions.
vacations and going to Walmart. What exactly does the United States stand for today? It's
Like you said,
if you're
Titanic.
truly honest with what's coming down the road, then maybe it's to identify where the end game is and get off the tracks.
I feel like the end game is, a universal dollar across the world, that we're all on one thing with the chip and all that. And I feel like they're going to do a full court press and try to eliminate God out of our lives. And
they're
bring
coming
in
out
their
with that
new
again
God.
now. Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't believe that there will be anywhere to hide. I don't believe that. And I think that when you make a choice in your heart to follow God, to follow Jesus, that you are you're alone. And it doesn't matter what terra firma you're standing on, you're alone. Unless you can find like-minded brothers and to reach out to and pull them in close. And I love this digital age where, if you're in Mexico and I'm up here and, the Danimals over here, like we can all meet. And I love that because it feels like I would get more out of this conversation than if I spent an hour in church, because we're of like-minded men who are sharing ideas and we're talking about God. And this is actually the real church right here. This is it coming together. We don't need a 501c3, an actual building to walk into, a brick and mortar.
That's a good point.
We just need this. This is all we need. And we can do this. And we can, go our own separate ways in our own spirituality, and then come back and then share what knowledge we've learned with one another. And through that, David is making me stronger, sharper, smarter in listening to him, and so is Dan. And I feel like when you walk into the church, it's a lot of dumbed down. There's a lot of dummies here, unfortunately, and there's also a lot of, and I'll say this: there's a lot of business dealings happening in the church, and I don't like that.
That sounds familiar. One of the few times Jesus got angry.
Yeah, and I'm like, does anyone here remember how angry he got? There's a nepotism that happens in the church that the business goes your way, and hey, help me scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. There's more dealings going on there than anywhere else. And I'm like, I don't want this.
Well, it's a very good point, because that is the United States now. It's about, and you see it in our politicians, and you see it in people in general, is people compromise their integrity and what's right for their own personal gain. And that's why a lot of people get into politics, especially local and state politics. Usually they're trying to put up roadblocks for competition.
Yeah.
That's their whole purpose.
Yeah.
It's really turned into an evil system. And where people on top try to maintain their position and keep everybody else down.
Yeah, even here in Florida, there's a lot of the small businessman has a terrible time trying to get a foothold in developing anything here, but a big box store could come in and develop no problem because of money. It's all about money. It's all about well, how much can my county make off of this development coming in here? If I'm a little guy coming in, which we have done, it is terrible. Like they treat me like not even a citizen.
The days of of a citizen being able to get into politics and make a difference, that's gone.
No,
that's gone. That was back in 1792.
Yeah. I feel like it's a game of leverage of who has dirt on who to push my agenda. And if you're in politics, you're either been had and you're a puppet now, or you're so corrupt that you're kind of untouchable, and that's where it's at. So it was probably in the year 1999. I worked alongside this guy who was like extremely intelligent, super smart. And he asked me one day, he goes, what would your one wish be? And I go, oh, that I'd be like super famous, because this was a long time ago, like 22 years ago. And so he goes, I go, how about you, Mark? And he goes, not me. I don't want anyone to know me or what I'm doing or anything. I like anonymity. And I was like, Mark, why would you want that? And it took a while for me to mentally digest what this higher level intelligent dude was saying. And then I was like, oh, he's right. Even you and me coming on a platform that's open, I think is a risk. It's a risk of all kinds of attack. But if you put your faith in God, then if he's with you, who can be against you? And you just put it out there and speak truth. That's it. And I love that. But now my ambition is never to be famous. I want to be as small as possible. I don't want to be known. Don't bother me. But at the same time, if I have to speak my truth, then I'll speak it, and it'll be out there. And I love that about
there always comes a time. There will always come a time, like you started with, where people will be tested. And you started by talking about the construction workers who failed the test. And we're all tested, and people don't know it's a test. Just like now they're coming around. There's a video of a Chinese girl in Australia going around saying, "Take the mark, take the mark." Put the chip in your hand. They're starting to really promote that now. And there's a lot of people who are going to say, "Wow, that's really convenient. I don't want to have to carry a wallet, nothing."
Right.
And they just are. And this is the danger, and it's what I've said to Dan, is we have a world where there are all these people who are credentialed and degreed, and supposedly we have all these intelligent people, but we are truly the most ignorant that we've probably been. We're clueless. Today, there's no excuse for not knowing information and history because it's at our fingertips. It's just we choose to watch, they have these stupid 1-minute videos now. So we choose to watch these, well, let's just flip, or TikTok started that, I guess. So let's just flip. And that's how dumbed down we are. And I think it's going to completely come apart before we can rebuild.
I'm probably totally 100% wrong on this, but let me just throw my theory out there for that TikTok. Someone said that TikTok is kind of like a mirror image of what your society is itself. So it's reflecting back what you see. So here in the United States, we see nothing but trash and debauchery and hedonism. It's terrible, right? So, and then you look at your society and you go, oh, well, that's, it's TikTok right there. It's the underbelly. It's the seedy underbelly that is like flipped over. And now you see it in TikTok, and it's all here. And then I wondered, there's a lot of like, anytime a politician comes out and says, oh, TikTok is evil, TikTok is bad, we have to ban it. And I go, okay. There's a lot of stuff on TikTok I don't want to see, but it is the reality of where we're at, because I see young teenage girls TikToking on the street corner here in Florida all the time. And it's like, come on, like, dude, where's your dad? Like, stop it, However, there's a lot of truth that is coming out on TikTok, and they don't want that out there. And so it's not we're suddenly moral politicians and we don't want TikTok because it makes everyone stupid. No, that's what they want. They don't want the truth that comes with it. So if you're a pastor on TikTok and you're saying all kinds of really amazing things, that's something they don't want. If you're a dad on TikTok and you're showing the world how great it could be to be a father with a whole family, they don't like that either. So it's funny how
nothing in my opinion should be banned. I'm not saying
I love freedom of speech.
That's for if there's something on I don't use TikTok, but if I did and I saw something I didn't like, I'd just scroll by it.
Right. Yeah.
Very simple.
And I love freedom of speech.
And I would teach my family, if I had a family, what's acceptable and what's not, just like my father taught me and my mother taught me.
We had that Chinese spy balloon supposedly fly over the United States, and it was gathering intel. Oh my gosh, we got to be so afraid. Let's fight China. And I go, okay, here's more propaganda. Oh, we got the TikTok thing. Oh, that's more Chinese propaganda. I go, oh, look how they pile and layer this stuff on in order to mold and thought shape into hating someone in a geographic location.
Yeah, fear. Fear is the number one enemy.
I can't. I look around. I see right through it, and then I talk to other people, and they're just parroting the same things that are on CNN or on NBC. Like, and it's like, man, you guys got to get away from that.
Yeah,
you got to start thinking for yourselves, folks. Like, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. The people are.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you. I asked it before. I don't think it was answered. So, what do you think that the United States actually represents and stands for?
Oh, this is the devil's playground. That's all this is. This is where money. He who controls the money controls everything, including politics. So I'm not worried about that. And was it David? David had said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. You're in the valley of the shadow of death here in the United States. Make no mistake. You have cops that'll come kick your door in. You've got politicians that want to put down things like COVID, where they want to force vaccinate children, who have no say, who don't have any mental capacity to make a decision. I could go down the list of things, but you are in the valley of the shadow of death. And it's not to think like, oh, well, I'll run to Singapore and it'll be different. It might be for a while, but only for a while. You could run to Chile, like I was thinking about, and then I thought about it, and I go, I might get away for a while. But then whatever comes my way is going to come my way, and to think that I'm going to live an easy life is like, come on, like it's not easy anywhere. When I look at the men in the Bible, like for instance, Joseph, right? He was wronged in every sort of way from the beginning, from being sold into enslavement by his brothers, wrongfully accused of rape by the woman who was head of the house, imprisoned for seemed like an eternity, and he never lost his faith in God. And yet everywhere along the way, He held his head up, acted like a gentleman, acted like a man of God, and was rewarded at every turn. So even though we're here in the United States and we are we're going to see the fire. I don't think COVID is it. It's not it. It's going to get worse. Raise your children up in the ways of the Lord, please, people, so that when they face that fire, it'll be easier. It won't be easier. It'll just be, they'll have a rock to stand on at least. So, and I don't think you're going to get away from it, no matter where you move to, because this is a one world government. This is the devil's time. And lately, I've had this theory too. You know, like my TikTok theory. It could be wrong. It could be they're just trying to get rid of it. The 90% of it they're okay with because it's garbage. But that 10% that speaks truth, they're terrified of. Terrified. They have to control that little bit, that sliver.
Have you ever read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand?
No, I kind of tried to, but I'm not a reader.
Yeah. Well, do you know what the story's about?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so prophetic for how those things that played out in her book are kind of playing out here with big industry. You have governments colluding with big companies, and then they control everything. Yeah, banks.
So in essence, what is the message to people, individuals in that book who are faced with that type of hopelessness? What is the gist of her book? Do you know?
Well, I think what they were trying to do was run away to a new place.
Vote with your feet. Vote with your feet.
Yeah, vote with your feet. And the beginning of voting with my feet was just getting to a blue state. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm here, I see that this will be co-opted as well. Yeah. No, I'm not under an illusion that Florida is the place where everything is going to get better. It won't. I'm not going to live an easy life. As long as I'm alive and breathing, it will be a struggle, a battle. I will be tested.
Oh, of course, but what we don't know yet, and this is because there's a lot of things we don't know. Well, let me rephrase that. There's a lot of things I don't know. But one of the things that I'm waiting to see what happens is, do you remember, I'm sure you've watched the Star Wars movies, especially since you have kids.
Yeah.
And the latest, there were basically two installments. There was the installments from the 70s and 80s, and then the 2000s.
Yeah.
And the first movie in the latest installments, it was about how it was a republic, right? They had a Senate. There was the senator, the Jedi. They were all part of the same republic. And then one of the senators, he was really a Sith Lord, right? And he became the evil empire. He became the emperor.
Yeah.
And then the Jedi split. And to me, whoever wrote that was talking about the United States.
Yeah.
And how the United States was this shining light on the hill. And in reality, it was this evil entity that started to try to control everything.
Didn't we just learn recently George Lucas was part of the CIA, a CIA operative or something? Something weird like that? FBI, I don't know.
Anybody in entertainment is part of it because that's how the Luciferians fulfill, and you may or may not have heard this, but supposedly Luciferians have a code of honor. They're required to tell you what they're going to do to you before they do it. So they use movies, books, the internet as a way. And most people take it as, wow, did you see that movie? That was pretty cool. Wow, wouldn't that be crazy if that was real? And then it happens.
Right. Yeah.
And so the point that I'm making is that what we don't know is wherever there's evil, there's good. And wherever there's good, there's evil. Because in our world, we have free choice, free will. Yeah. That is our choice. And that's what I say to people is you have a choice. When you decide this is the way it is, that is your choice.
Yeah.
So just remember, choices have consequences. Sometimes consequences are irreversible. So as long as you go into that, understanding that, when you get to the end and you go to hell,
Yeah.
that was your choice. You have a choice. And remember, this life is 100 years if we're lucky.
So true.
Eternity is forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mighty long time. And that's a bad trade when you trade 80 years of bliss for forever in hell. But the point I want to say is that if you're on the Titanic, okay, moving to the stern isn't the right answer. The right answer is get in a lifeboat.
Yeah.
And you got to be smart enough to see this. So
Yeah.
you get in the lifeboat before everybody gets in one and the lifeboats are gone.
Right.
So have the courage to face reality. And we'll go into Mexico, we'll go into Chile, we'll go into Russia or Thailand or wherever, Uruguay. Will that guarantee escape? No, it won't. But I tend to believe that there is a bipolar world going on. And I think that what's going to shock most people in the United States is the Russians and the Chinese, especially the Russians, are the good guys.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But unless you've been to China, unless you've been to these countries, you're buying what you're sold. Okay. Unless you go and put your boots on the ground and experience for yourself. And the reality is that I think that the American ideals that we want to believe in, they haven't been around for a long time. And I think that if you go to some other country, you may have a chance of finding them. Because, like I said, the United States has to fall apart. It's kind of like this whole thing in Ukraine. People have these flags on there, and they believe that sending $100 billion and fighting against the Russians is the right answer. Well, it's going to take severe pain for people to realize that they're wrong.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This whole Facebook kind of starting, well, maybe not even starting there, starting even before the ice bucket challenge, where people would, you say, virtue signal and say, look, I'm pouring a bucket of ice on my own head, and look how virtuous I am.
Right.
Oh my goodness. And so everyone just, the sheep will start doing the same thing, and they got the ice bucket challenge, and now everyone's got a pink ribbon for breast cancer awareness. They got a thin blue line for, more tyranny.
Yeah.
And then
it's a facade.
We've got this Ukraine flag on everything, and half of them are upside down, which is so silly. I mean, come on, you don't even know what the flag is. It's so stupid. And then, and then I even have family members who've gone over there with their own money and tried to help out the poor people and this and that. And we're trying to give. And it's like, stop it. These are you're being manipulated by social media. You're being manipulated by politicians, and you're not even on the right side. It makes me remind me of that meme says, are we the baddies? Well, like when the German guy is like, wait a minute, like, are we the bad guys?
Well, that's what I meant about the Star Wars movie, where people actually realized, holy shit.
Yeah, you're on are you the Republic or are you the Rebellion? Like, which are you, a stormtrooper, or are you like a Han Solo guy? Like, who knows? And I think they love the conflict, right? Because it will get guys to roll over and just say, I can't take any more of this. I'd rather have my football back. And you could see that with COVID. And they choose internally to go to the other side, where they wouldn't normally live there, but they're like, out of convenience or out of gullibility, ignorance, they're going to transfer over to the dark side, quote unquote. And I think that's what Satan wants. He wants you to choose. He wants you to choose to do something that is it's convenient, or fall into the laziness of your own personality.
Yeah,
choose
and
me
most
over
people
God.
and most people who have children will choose to conform. That's how
Yeah.
they get you. Do it for the children.
I
Do it
just
for
had
the children.
I just had a conversation with a guy who came through the coffee shop. His wife and my wife bring the kids to the park and they play. And I don't know
You
why.
actually have a physical coffee shop?
Yeah, we got a regular coffee shop. Yeah,
Wow.
We used to do events with the trailer, but then I bought the land, and then we put the trailer on the land, and now we've got a drive-through, and it works out great.
That. Yeah,
I got a
see
couple
that.
employees. It's wonderful. And anyway, I had a guy come through the drive-through, and I was like, hey man, your wife and my wife went to the park together with the kids, and he's like, yeah, dude, they said they had a great time, and I go, that's awesome. And so we get to talking. And he goes, he slipped up and he said something like, oh, we can't do such and such until the kids get out of school. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, your kids are in school? What does your wife do? And, oh, she's a stay-at-home mom. Well, why isn't she teaching your children then?
Yeah.
I go, bro, come on. And he goes, well, we're putting them in a Christian school. And I go, wait a minute. An educator in a Christian school is still educated at the same college as the public school teacher. Okay. They're getting their same, piece of paper. I got my degree from the same place that has propagandized them or warped their minds. And I go, it's no different. It's no different. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but not much. It's only a matter of time. And that thing will get, just raise your own kids, man. And he was kind of taken aback that I would be so woo in his face. But you know what? Why do I care more about your children than you do? That's the question.
Believe I remember I remember my family, a couple people in my family thought I was insane when I said we should get rid of all public schools.
Yeah.
Get rid of the buildings. Get rid of it all.
How could that be?
Well, that's because, right. It's because school today is kindercare. It's not about education.
Yeah.
It's about, hey, there's no dad at home, so I have to go work.
Well, I'll see this all the time. Oh, we just don't make enough money. Both my wife and me have to work, and so we have the kids in school. And I'm like, aren't you driving a brand new $70,000 vehicle?
Wow.
If you could just drive a clunker for a while, your kid would be at home with your wife.
Right. Priorities. Yeah.
Yeah. But you've chosen materialistic bullshit over your own flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to see once you can see it, and you see it everywhere. You go, oh no. And that's why I say my friend circle got smaller and smaller, because I cannot associate with these people and have good conversations and be true to them and bullshit them the whole time that how I feel about what doing children. Okay. I can't do it.
Well, if you really want to blow people's minds who are on the extreme regressive side, this is how you do it. Is you say, okay, if you're in charge, if you believe in big government, then we should definitely regulate who has children, who can and who cannot have children. Their heads will explode. But if you're going that direction, then we have all these people who are having children who can't take care of them and don't want to take care of them. They just happen to get pregnant, and they use it as a way to suck off the government tit.
Yeah.
So that's how you blow up their whole thing about government should control everything. Me personally, I'm on one side, they're on another. And when you have a government that is that powerful, well, you're going down a bad path. And it used to be community. Now it's government. Yeah. Communities used to help people in communities. And then that's when people knew their neighbors. And most people don't know their neighbors. Most people don't bother me with this stuff.
Communities in the church, right? at the grassroots level, whatever you want to call it. Now it's you guys nailed it, because I've been listening closely. That we're at a mindset now where we're feeble, we're helpless. We can't do anything ourselves. I need big bro. I need big government to step in to wipe my rear end. Right.
That's right. Who needs a daddy?
Yeah. Not to be
Nobody
crude, but I got to go to the bathroom, Aaron. Can you help me? I'm a grown man, right? I can't even manage that, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's no accountability in anything anymore, and yeah, for people they just want to wash their hands of their neighbors suffering and just ignore it like it's not theirs anymore. Even just a neighbor. Like you'll see it as mom and dads get older. Just put mom and dad in an old folks home and just
100%
lock them up. I don't want to see them. You saw that during COVID. These old folks were being locked up. And families would just be like, nah. I guess we don't get to see them until they lift the COVID ban.
And that's what I was going to say, bro. And then on top of it, you couldn't even go visit them. So you got these.
I would have kicked that door down and been like, "I'm getting grandma out of here."
Yeah,
like,
you got. Do you know who? Do you know who Charles Schumer is? You know who Charles Schumer is, right? Okay,
Chucky,
well, he's a congressman from New York.
Okay.
Chucky Schumer. He's a congressman from New York, right? So, and then you got the other idiot from South Carolina. What's his face, Dave? Mitch McConnell. He has no chin. Can you imagine?
Isn't he from Kentucky?
I thought he was from South Carolina, but anyway, type of guy. And I don't purport to be John Wayne, but type of guy. A little jab in the chin. He's going down. Okay,
Right.
This is who's running our
Kentucky,
government.
dude.
Yeah, Kentucky. This is who's running our government, right? And we have to bow down to these fledglings, okay, that couldn't do 10 push-ups if you put a gun to their head. I'm just, what's my point? You know what I mean? Like, wet noodle, like no testosterone, and this is what's running the show, and we all bow down because we've got our Doritos and our gallon of Jolt.
It's very simple.
Watching football.
It's the same thing, and it will never change.
Watching football
because we allow it. Just recently, you know what's going on with all the bank troubles, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
big time.
Congress, from what I heard from redacted and other places online, Congress was secretly selling all their positions in the banks because they knew what was coming.
I heard that. I saw an article somewhere. 100%.
And Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton are two of the best options traders on earth. Do you know that?
Absolutely.
They can't even spell put and call, but but they're worth millions now. Yep.
and so I have a trading group. It's part of my trading. I started cherry picking guys off the internet and in private invite, and we would get on Telegram and start saying, hey, what do you see in gold? What do you see in silver? How about oil? Blah, blah, blah. And we've been talking about this, like Nancy Pelosi, like, let's just get on her trade because she's so good. And she's so clueless everything, yet stumbles into pots of gold constantly. I'm like, what is this? I mean, insider trading, if I would even attempt it, would be I would be thrown in jail so fast.
Dude, you'd be up the river so quick.
Not for me.
Your head would spin. You wouldn't know what happened, right? But all of a sudden, like Dave said, she walks into office. When she started in office, I think she was just regular middle class, whatever. Now she's worth, I think, millions, hundreds of millions or something. And she's a genius options trader on top of it. I mean, wow, what a gig. Serve your government and become an options expert. Amazing.
Yeah, they sent Martha Stewart to jail for lying to Congress. Look at all the clowns who lie all the time. Get a free pass.
I feel like that's a part of the humiliation ritual that, like, okay, Martha, you want to be in the club? We're going to catch you doing something naughty and we're going to throw you away and make you appear to the public that you're not this goody two-shoes anymore. And then we'll bring you back and you'll be better than ever. And that's what we did. I'm like, there's way that, David, if you get thrown in jail for something like that and organically come back better than ever. No way. Not without Satan's help. No way. I mean, it's impossible. They wouldn't let you. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
So,
wild, man.
Well, we've got the introductions done. Trading, in addition, is control of emotions, and there's a lot of aspects that can lead to other aspects of life.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of reasons for people to learn how to trade, and besides making money. But obviously making money is the primary objective with trading.
I've learned an incredible amount about myself through trading. And I didn't even think that would be a benefit when I started in it.
No.
But the idea of being able to control and harness my fear, being able to put something out there and have it exposed to possibly get destroyed, what that does to you emotionally, how to handle being wrecked, how to handle being in abundance at the same time. It has been a lesson in discipline that I never thought the journey, but it's kind of like your walk with God. It is extremely disciplined, and there's a lot of distraction out there. So it requires a lot to dig deep and become true to Him and to yourself, so you can continue your walk. And there's that statistic that 90% of traders lose 90% of their wealth in 90 days. And I go, wow, that's crazy. And then it sucks, but I've seen it happen. I've seen dudes just walk in and I'm here to trade, and then bam, and I'm like, money management, anybody? Like,
well, exactly. It's a balance between greed and fear.
Yeah. And I go, wow, okay. So this is yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. And if you don't know yourself, I don't think you should be trading, because there could be a reckless side to you that just comes out of nowhere, and you're going to bear the consequence of that.
Or trade paper trade, or trade with very, very little money at first.
Yeah. Very, very little money.
Yeah. And the thing that, reading books helps, finding mentors helps, makes a big difference, because I can tell you, I started getting involved in trading and I was like, hey, what's to it? And I started doing naked shorts without even understanding what that meant. I mean, I knew what it meant, but I really didn't know that there were better alternatives out there, because I'd never done it before.
I got my start in trading late. I know you said 99 or 1990.
I'm sorry, 2019.
Oh, 2019 is when you started.
Yeah. Just 3 years.
Yeah. So I got my start in trading. It was, well, let me back up a little bit, and I'm going to tell you a story about how I got into it. All right. So I was part of the Nintendo generation growing up, and eventually World of Warcraft came along. And at night, after I'd work construction, I'd come home and just sit on the couch and play World of Warcraft. Now, there was a guy on there that I started playing with a little bit back and forth, and we would connect if he was on, and I enjoyed kind of running dungeons with him, whatever, because I'm nerdy. And and one day he says, I'm going to sell my character, and I'm offering it to you first. And it's like a level 80 character that's whatever. It's got all this stuff. And I said, you know what? I like you. I'll buy it. I'll buy it. What do you want for it? And he says, I want 100 Bitcoin. And I didn't know what Bitcoin was. I had no idea. And I was like, come on, man. Just tell me how much money you want.
What year was this?
Bitcoin is the future of money. And I laughed. I was like, who is this moron that think that the dollar is going to go away?
Yeah, especially with what was a game token back then.
Yeah, that's all I thought it was. I was like, this is just a game token. Oh, I'm sorry, November 2010.
Oh, wow.
So Bitcoin Bitcoin was a quarter. It was 25 cents when he sent me the link.
Yeah, because when did Bitcoin actually when did Bitcoin originate? Right around that time frame, right?
Oh yeah, it was a baby.
Yeah.
And I laughed at this dude. I was like, you're a joke.
Those are the only ones who knew about Bitcoin back then were the gamers.
Oh yeah, and he was a super nerd, dude. And I was like, they say like in the Bible it says the meek shall inherit the earth. And I was like, this guy was so nice, and I laughed in his face, and he was just trying to speak truth to me about what he saw in this protocol, and I couldn't get past my ego to actually get on the same wavelength and have empathy for what he was saying, you couldn't
actually listen, and that's a great skill to learn. Listen.
Yeah.
There's as Ben Franklin says, you can learn something from every man you meet.
Fast forward later, I'm in a dentist's office and I'm flipping through as a magazine, like a Popular Science or something. And the article was, will Bitcoin reach $1,000? And I was like, what? No way. And so I was like, I got to see what's going on. So as soon as I left there, we left the doctor, I went home, I did a little digging, and I'm like, Bitcoin's at $300. That dude who had 100 of those Bitcoins, if he did sell that, is sitting pretty. Right. And I'm like, whoa. So I bought right then at $300. And
so you didn't stay in touch with this guy?
No, like I said, I quit playing World of Warcraft. And to this day, if I could meet one person in the world, it would be him, because I would say your conversations, and he doesn't know this, changed the way I thought about cryptocurrencies at that, like later. It took time to digest.
He planted some seeds. Yeah.
And I would just thank him and hug him and just do anything, to be his friend, because I knew his quality, and I laughed at him, and I feel like I feel shame about that, and I need to ask maybe just for forgiveness of that, because it took a powerful lesson to see, like, whoa, look at all the stuff you've missed out on because you laughed at somebody. And it was at that moment I bought Bitcoin, and I wrote it up to like maybe 1,200, and it came crashing down. I wrote it all the way up and all the way down, and I was like, what's the point in having this if I didn't cash out?
Well, there you go. That's the first lesson you have to learn as a trader, right?
Yeah.
When to buy and when to sell.
Yeah. And I bag holded the whole way down, and I was like hating myself that I didn't know how to trade. So at that point, I went to every member of my family and said, are you in the stock market? Wow. Yes, they would say. Can you teach me how to trade, please? And they would say,
buy and hold.
I've got, here's a number to my broker. Wait a minute. What happened to you in 2008? Didn't you get wrecked because your broker helped bag hold it all the way down? The guy that knows better for your account and your future? You mean to tell me that all these people, friends, family, everyone in my circle has all their money invested in some brokerage account somewhere or some 401k that they can't touch, that they've been dumping in all this money, all their hard-earned cash, the maximum amount, so they could get a match, this and that, and then it just crashes down and you couldn't do anything about it? You were handcuffed? I go, no, bullshit. Someone here has got to know how to trade. Nobody.
No. Nobody knows how to
I go, you guys are idiots. And now we're going to roll. We're going to hyper. Then 2008 hit, and then they started pumping the markets up again. And I'm like, you guys are going to get wrecked again. This is like a rinse and repeat. They're just fleecing you from money, from your wealth.
Buy the dips.
They don't get it. They don't want to take the responsibility, the bull by the horns, to raise their kids or take financial control of their own money. I don't care if you got $25 in your pocket. You should have control of your financial future now. And it just baffles me, because most of these people as a child I looked up to. And as I got older and started bringing in more wisdom, I started thinking less and less of these people. And like I said, the friend circle gets smaller and smaller. And I'm like, man, this is, and then, you know, then you get the COVID thing.
Dan and I talk a lot about this, maybe not on camera, but, you know, the boomers, they just got lucky. They were born at the right place at the right time.
Thank you for saying that. I can't stand boomers as a
hate to be cynical.
Group.
Yeah, hate to be cynical, but yeah,
they are the worst. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something real quick.
It's all about me. It's all about me, Aaron. Oh, get out of the way, brother. I'm going to throw a big elbow now. It's about me.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, do I get my senior discount? Oh, you mother. Let me tell you something about your discount. You're going to pay double now because you said that. And the reason why is because your generation has not just benefited from the biggest inflationary. You could have bought any sort of property and sold it for $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Bucks. But instead, you were on your lazy asses waiting for your pension. And now you want a discount. I go, you. Because of you, we're economically enslaved. My children are economically enslaved, and their children are.
Spot on, bro.
You guys, and you dropped the ball. You fumbled the entire
but here's the thing, Aaron. Yeah.
So now that we're
Yep. Here's the thing.
All on your watch. Don't ever say greatest generation around me. I will choke you.
Yep.
You're the biggest fools I've ever seen. The only reason why they say that is because
well, they weren't the greatest generation. It was
my
the generation,
TV, my best.
It was WW2 generation. It was the ones that fought WW2 supposedly, according to Tom Brokejaw.
But trust me, they're willing to ride the coattails as if they are too. And exactly. I go, no.
Well, George, what's his face? The comedian there. What's his face? Dave George Carlin. Yeah, they went. So Aaron, they went from cocaine to Rogaine. Right?
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Oh, yeah. and you know what?
What happened to all these people who protested the war? Where'd they go?
Oh, they smoked a bunch of dope and thought that they were king of the hill and that their shit don't stink and that we're all idiots. And they did a shit job of parenting so that their kids are now idiots. And I'm sorry, they got brainwashed. They thought they're the best and they're not. They're the worst. And I'm going to tell you guys something. This is for real. I started this little, Sammy Jacks. It's landscaping, mowing, haul out debris, like, down trees and stuff. So we're out there working and we love the Florida sun, me and the boys. And this is the God's honest truth. In my life, I have never had more people come up to me and ask for a job. And that demographic of people that ask me for a job are boomers. Wow. And out of that demographic of people that are asking for jobs that are boomers, 90% of them are women.
Wow.
I shit you not. This is what happened. The boomer men dropped the ball financially and thought, "Oh, I'm just gonna be Mr. King shit on Fart Island, and I don't have to think of anything financially." And then hyperinflation hits, and then they go, "Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And so they're paralyzed at home. They can't do anything except watch baseball, right? And
this week in baseball.
And then their wives are going out to the grocery store and going, "I can't pay for eggs. I can't pay for this."
Can't pay
and
for
now
diddles.
They're the ones that are going, "Oh, I married a moron, but I only figured this out till now." And now they're asking the guy who they're paying, by the way, to mow their lawn if they can have a job. And the reason why they're paying us to mow their lawn is because they're too lazy.
Amazing.
They think they're too good to mow their own lawn. And they're too worried about the perception that their neighbors are going to have if they start getting behind a mower and pushing it themselves. They're so about the perception of wealth. Like, look how good I'm doing. Dude, don't ask me for a job if you're a boomer, especially a woman, when you're driving a brand new Cadillac. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Why are you asking for Why are they asking?
And what do they expect, Aaron, that they're going to do if they work with you? They think they're going to mow lawns and sweat and break a sweat?
I'm like, the humidity and how hot it gets. You're going to push a lawnmower.
These women are 70. These women are what? 60, 70 years old? Yeah. 70? And they're not in good shape, most of them. No, they're not in good shape. So they're going to be out there working in the hot Florida sun?
No, they all
with you? For 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they'll say things like, "Oh, I can't believe I had to fire my old guy, my old landscape guy, because he raised his prices to $60 to mow my front and backyard and trim my hedges." And I go, "Have you seen the price of gas lately? Do you know what it costs to run a crew?
Yep.
How about insurance? Have you tried digging in and paying that lately?"
Yep. If you've got more than 4 employees in Florida, you need workman's comp. Then you need general liability on top of that. That all costs money.
They'll hand you $5 and think, "Man, I'm really changing that boy's life. Here's a tip, $5. I really changed his life." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You boomers are the worst.
They're in La La Land.
Oh, they're gone. They're gone.
They're in effing La La Land.
The thing that I see the most with them is teams. So like they got sucked into baseball teams or pro America versus Russia versus China. They're in teams. They're like, "Oh, I'm on this team or that team." And I'm like, you know what? Like, knock your bullshit off. We're just people trying to make it, all of us. And your team stuff ain't helping. So when you start talking to me as a boomer that you like, Democrats because they're pro-Democrat team, I go, no. Like, and I'm not advocating for Republicans either, because I hate both of them. I think they're both evil. They're both corrupt. I don't think we're voting for any of them. I think that they're thrust in our faces, and we have to bear the consequence of whatever whim they throw our way. And these boomers are in full support of it. And I hate it. I hate that. They think, oh, he went to the moon. And shut up. You're so stupid.
Yeah, well, they're brainwashed. I hate to say it. My parents are basically boomers. I love them. But they are so, and I use them as examples, microcosm examples constantly, because something I know and can relate to of the demographic at large. And again, I'm not trying to be critical. I'm trying to be observational and analytical about this, objective. They have bought into the narrative, period, hook, line, and sinker 50 years ago. And there's no way, Aaron, that I've found anyway, that you're going to change them. Like this conversation, this entire conversation we've been having, aside from the basic intro, if they were sitting in right now listening, they would be flabbergasted. They would not understand anything we're saying or griping about at all. They would just see it as like some of the comments I get are, "Well, you hate this country, just leave." No, I don't hate this country. I actually love this country. We have systemic problems that have to be fixed. Otherwise, and Dave's probably right, I hate to admit it, not that he's right, but because I don't want to see this happen, we're going down the toilet, okay? We're going down the effing toilet, okay? Because we won't own up to the fact that we've got severe systemic problems that have to be fixed, because we're exceptional, we're awesome, we're the best of the shitty lot in the world. Yeah. What kind of rationale is that? That's the rationale I get from that generation. We're the best of the best. If you don't like it, leave. Oh, really? So what's your solution though? Like, you don't see any of these problems? You don't understand that your grandkids, and sorry for the language, that your grandkids are you don't see it, right?
Oh,
like
they don't care.
Dave and I are going to get by. We're going to scrape by as Gen Xers. My children and their children are going to take a Mike Tyson straight right to the kisser, teeth knocked out, jaw broken, any other metaphor you want to use.
Yeah.
No, Aaron just nailed it. They don't care.
They don't give a shit.
Do you think they're going to sacrifice anything?
They're entirely self-absorbed. They won't lift a finger. They just won't. They don't care. And I'm not trying to bash my own family, okay?
Exactly.
But I'm gonna say how it is.
Your parents must be boomers.
So I went years without talking to my dad, like 20 years.
Wow.
And when we reconnected, it was like he didn't even give a shit. And
No,
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? I can't go 20 hours without seeing my kids. If I got to go away on a trip, I'm heartbroken. I'm like, I miss their smiles. I want their laugh. I want to know how they're doing. And to go that long without wondering. Here's another example. Boomers. My wife's parents lived right up the road from us. They would pass our house at least 4 times a day, going into town, even back and forth.
Yep.
They never turned up the road and just said, "Hey, just wanted to see my grandkids." We could go years without them saying hi.
100%.
What the fuck is that all about?
Right on, brother. Right on, brother.
What is that all about?
Dude, I left Massachusetts. You know why, Andy? Aaron? Because I lived in an apartment for 2.5 years, maybe 10 minutes from my parents, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
In 2.5 years, as God is my judge, my parents visited me in my apartment once. In 2.5 years.
Oh man.
And it might have been 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and they were gone. And the argument was, I got in a bitter argument with them one day. I don't know how it came up, but it came up. And I said that. And this is what boomers do. They totally rejected what I said. Oh, that's not true, Danny. That's I said, and now I'm raging. My head is beat red. I'm ready to take my fist and ram it through the wall. I'm like, you're telling me I'm a liar when I experienced it. As God is my judge, I said, that's what I experienced. You're telling me I'm wrong and basically calling me a liar when I know the truth. I was so enraged. My sister, same thing. One time in 2.5 years. So then I moved to another town, a little bit further away, 22 minutes down the highway. Not a big deal, right? That's not a long ride, 22 minutes, is it? No, 24 minutes. Nothing crazy. I lived in that house for 5 years, a little over 5 years. And I think they came to the house like 3 times in 5 years.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that I live in Florida, 2.5 years later, every time I talk to them.
What did they tell you, Dan? What did they tell you? They told you can go to them.
Yeah, exactly. And I did. I did go to them all the time.
Yeah.
I did, like once and twice a week, constantly
driving.
Oh,
we didn't want to impose. Oh,
yeah. I would. So that's right. Their argument was when I lived close to them, 10 minutes away, and then even 20 minutes away, their argument was, well, you come to us all the time. And I'm like, yeah, why do you think? Why do you think? Because if I don't make the effort and actually expend a calorie, get off my fat ass, get in the car and go, you're not going to do it. Okay. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm not trying to point fingers, but I'm making the effort. You're not. Okay. So now that I've been in Florida every other week, because I talk to my parents, Aaron, just because Dave says I shouldn't, I don't disagree, because we end up getting in an argument.
What do I say?
Well, you say text, but they're my folks. And here's the thing, Aaron, they're old now. My mother's 80, my father's 90. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so out of sheer respect, I call them like once a week. Sheer respect. They're my folks. I love them. We don't get along. Son. We don't see eye to eye. I get it. You know, our politics are totally different. I'm a conservative. I believe in God. I believe in the Bible. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm an idiot, right? Because they think I'm an idiot. When I say these things, the comment about the Bible, for example, I'm a fanatic because I read the Bible. I'm a fanatic because I read the Word of God. I'm a fanatic. That's what I'm like, you're kidding me. Really? That's your rationale. So that's I'm just citing all of this as an example, a microcosm example, because I suspect greatly that I'm not alone. And you just described your baby boomer parents. I'm not trying to be critical and get on the shit train and blame train, but that generation, Dave experienced it too, to an extent, from what I could tell, even though he had great parents. Well, Dave, you had great parents, but your father worked all the time, just like mine. Like my father didn't spend much time with me. That generation didn't spend much time. They were working 60, 70 hours a week chasing the dollar. I played catch with them once in a while. That's about it.
Well, here's something. This like
for like 20 minutes.
Well, there used to be a division of duties, Dan.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Now there's no division of duties.
Today, Aaron's expected to wipe his child's ass and change diapers.
Right. And I'll do it. I love it. I think it's just part of being a dad. It don't bother me.
Yeah, no,
but old school, like my father bragged, I never changed one diaper.
it's not going. Yeah, not going. No, and they didn't. They didn't. They didn't even know what a diaper was. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's the way the world was. I mean, listen. I mean, there's something to be said for why the world is so screwed up, because there are no lines in the sand.
Agreed.
Everything's acceptable today.
100%. Yeah, whatever makes you feel good, just go do it. You know.
Yeah, and you know the boomers just, you know, the Facebook thing. You know, I've totally pushed back, and I don't like social media. I'm on it, but I'm actually on Facebook more than ever now. But it's only for marketplace, because it's seemed to have taken the place of Craigslist. Yeah. And I love like wheeling and dealing in tools. So it's just what frustrates me is that there'll be new updated photos of this and that of the boomer's dog, and no new pictures of their grandkids.
Exactly.
And I go, come on, man! Like you like
Aaron, my
like,
friend. Aaron, you're a nice guy, dude. Yeah, come on. It's more like, what the F are you guys thinking?
Yeah,
you know? We like our Fido. We're Americans. We like our pets, right, bro? But really, you're gonna put our pets above friggin' your blood, your children, your grandchildren. Yeah, Fido's more important than your friggin' grandchild, right?
You're going to spend all this money and time on doggy training and doggy daycare and dragging that dog all over town, everywhere you got to go.
But you never see your grandkids
on the mouth,
right?
And all this shit, and you're not even going to pull in the driveway and just say hi to your grandkids.
Exactly.
Like, I just can't wrap my mind around
it. Not just once or twice a month. You can't even do it twice a month, 10 minutes to go hug your grandchild. I totally agree.
Right.
It's absolutely just disgusting.
This bothers me too. So like boomers, I find are really a majority of them don't believe in God anymore. They may have started out but then they've lost touch, and now they don't even want to touch the subject anymore. They don't want to talk about God, Jesus anymore. Most of them don't.
Heaven forbid.
And then and I believe that's because you'd have to have morals, and you'd have to hold yourself accountable in order to talk about these conversations. And I think deep inside they know they've dropped the ball so badly that they can't even enter a conversation about morals and accountability about God, because they know that they'd be held accountable, and they would look terrible. And I go, this is bad. This is bad. Oh, we don't talk about politics, and we don't talk about religion. Oh, because these are adult conversations, so boomers can't take part in them.
Exactly. And what's interesting is too, you say religion. I mean, wasn't it Christ that basically said to us, beware of in so many words, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees, right? In other words, that guy you see on the street corner who appears to be holier than thou, you know, bowing his head up and down. Do you know what I mean? Making a presence, right? Jesus warned us about that. Jesus basically said, no, you need to develop a strong rapport, personal relationship with the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I suggest you do it in private. You have a place of prayer, you know, in private. You don't need to make a spectacle of yourself, because the Father knows all, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. You don't need to be out on the street thumping, how is that religion? He's basically saying, the guise of religion imposed by man, hence the Pharisees and Sadducees as an example. It's a front store prop, smoke and mirrors. That's not what it's about.
Well, right? There's something here about, in the Bible, it says pray unceasingly. And the other thing that I have a really hard time with, but I'm really trying my best with, is when it says pray for your enemies. And even though
like heaping coals on their head. Yep.
Even though the elders in the family are not quote unquote enemies, I do feel wronged, and I have to continually pray for them and just say, I need to forgive them for 100%. What they're doing. I 100%. Need to forgive them for what they're doing to the grandkids. I need to forgive them for what they did to this family. I have to like
Well,
just say
Aaron,
it's
what's
okay.
what's the one prayer the Bible says to say? It says one prayer.
Well,
The
yeah,
Lord's Prayer.
the Lord's
The
Prayer.
Lord's Prayer.
Yeah,
And that's
Matthew.
that's in the Lord's Prayer is forgive those who trespass against us as I trespassed against you.
Right. Right.
And hey, but we're human beings.
exactly.
Yeah.
All of us.
And I'm making mistakes all the time. And it's easy to look at them and say, "Oh, you guys are so terrible," right?
Right.
And
It's true.
I need to look inward and say, "There's things in me that need to change." And so when I
All of
see
us.
things that I don't
All of
like,
us.
I need to make sure that correction is made internally also.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
about holding accountability, and I just, man, it's a tough road. It's a tough road. It's like you said, it's narrow.
Yeah. What did Christ say? Pull the log out of your own eye before you point the one out in your brother's eye.
Yes.
To that effect. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it feels good to actually have a great conversation with you fellas because, you know, I know that you guys would hold me accountable for anything. If you saw me doing something strange, you'd be like, whoa, wait a minute now, rein it in. And that iron sharpens iron. And I think that in conversation, I'm learning things from you guys and you're learning things from me. And it's so great, man. I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
Well, what do they say? They say the people you surround yourself with are who you become.